Thinking about his childhood, Obey continued. All I know is when I was a child, a man gave me this book, pulling out an old torn Torah. And I have been reading it since I was a child, not really knowing why. I figured it had something to do with my family, so I kept reading it repeatedly since then. But as far as the Anakitas, it was either eat or die, so I chose to eat. I have always been a good fighter, hunter, and tracker. And they made me a bounty hunter, an assassin. He was interrupted by Alicia, who was looking at the cloaking device. The distance on this thing is outrageous, and I believe I can make a closed network communicator for us now. Jonathan looked at Alicia, saying, It'll be easy to use our communicators without anyone monitoring or tracking it but us. Joan looked at Jonathan. You said that last time. Don't you see who found us? Pointing at Obey. They saw Wanyanyekova walking back towards them before they could finish their conversation. Wanyanyekova picked up his assegai and asked Obey, Are you with us, or against us because time is short at hand? No one has eaten, and dusk is upon us. I am with you, men of Sabaoth. We are not enemies, but brothers, said Obey as he saw his wounds healing right before his eyes. Jonathan interrupted. You said we killed over 1,000 people. When did this happen? I counted maybe 100, 120 at the most. Obey, puzzled, said, The bubble city of Las Cruces? That explosion alone killed 1,500. Daniel stopped healing Obey and looked at him, and the rest of the children of Ibrahim looked at each other and started to ask questions. We will talk later then, we must go and go now, said Wanyanyekavu. Obey interrupted. Wait. There's a communicator among you, and the signal is strong. Someone will be here, unless we mislead them to go elsewhere. I need it now. Elijah? Wanyanyekova said. Please help him find that communicator. Obey said. My jet ship is just a few yards. I need to place this on my ship and send it somewhere. Wanyanyekova said. I will go with you. Wanyanyekavu instructed everyone to prepare a meal with whatever they had and place camp somewhere safe as he left with Obey. Wanyanyekavu and Obey ran to the jet ship. Out of breath, Obey said, I need to set this thing to autopilot to a place miles away from us. Wanyanyekova said, How far can you send it? Obey started pressing buttons. How about Rio? Rio de Janeiro? Wanyanyekova said. That's far enough. Obey finished setting the autopilot on the jet ship as it took off, heading south. Heading back to camp, Obey properly introduced himself, and Wanyanyekova dropped his guard after Obey began telling his story of being a slave since youth for the Anakitas. While listening to Obey tell of his abuse, trials, and tribulations, living a life as a slave until he was trained to kill for them, Wanyanyekova saw a vision but didn't say a word to Obey, realizing he spoke the truth. 10 men seemed to come out of nowhere behind some bushes and stood in front of Wanyanyekova and Obey. I'm looking for the man that uses this symbol, said the stranger, taking a star from around his neck on a chain as Wanyanyekova looked at Obey. Obey said, I know not of this symbol nor who you are looking for. Obey said firmly and boldly to the men, Who are you, and what is it you want? The man said with contempt, You are Obey, a slave assassin from my father. I know of you, but you do not know me. Now tell me of this symbol or die, slave. Wanyanyekova was now angry over the things the man had just said to Obey because he had already seen the conversation in a vision. But Obey replied, I am nobody's slave, any more. Who is your father, and what is it you want with this man? The man smiled. My name is Nikon, and my father is Oedipus, and I look for the murderer of my youngest brother, Aislinn. Wanyanyekova recognized the name. May I see the symbol which you ask about? Handing the star to Wanyanyekova, Nikon said, This bullshit here, do you know it, for my fight is not with you yet? Wanyanyekova smiled. Your fight is with me, for this is mine, and threw the star into Nikon's skull, killing him. As his body fell to the ground dead, Wanyanyekova said, Now I have killed 2 evil brothers with 1 star. The rest of Nikon's men attacked Obey and Wanyanyekova but were defeated, and Wanyanyekova was amazed at Obey's fighting style, and so was Obe of Wanyanyekavus.